Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. If you're watching here or listening into the podcast, I'm your host, Danny Martinez, and we got today Danny, the sober guardian. We got Zoe here
Hey.
today, and then we got Steven. I don't know if y'all want nicknames or something. If y'all want to do some
Well, you've
tag
already
names.
outed our identities to the world, so it's
Well,
no point now.
I got your first name, but I didn't out you with like your freaking full name and address and all
I
that.
really
Really? I
think
put
the
my
internet
fucking
will
government name in
figure it
there.
out.
um, so today
No,
we're
my
gonna
gamer
talk
tag's
about.
stupid.
Say what?
Said my gamer tag's stupid. I'm good.
Oh, no, okay. Well, it doesn't have to be gamer tag. I just meant in general because Sober Guardian is Danny, and he. I don't think you'd go by Sober Guardian, do you? I think maybe like
What?
one or two games.
Oh, to say in real life, no, nobody
No,
calls me
obviously.
that.
No, I'm talking about like your gamer tag.
In a few games, yeah.
Yeah. But today, so we're gonna talk about live service games, games of service, whatever you want to call it. Games like Destiny, games like Anthem, games like Suicide Squad. A lot of these games have been failing left and right. Some of them have been somewhat successful. The elder service games like Overwatch and what else? Apex. Those are still are kicking and they're still doing pretty well. I guess maybe not so much Apex, but they're still alive. But there's a lot of stuff that's dying and a lot of stuff that's canceled right now. So I'm kind of seeing a trend lately of a lot of live service games are kind of because they're failing, they're not working out so well. It seems like hopefully, finally, the game industry, publishers, not so much developers, but publishers and corporations and studios, they're finally learning that this is not the way to oversaturate the market with this kind of stuff. I think people are burnt out from these things. So we got a lot of them failing. I just want to mention a couple before we go to you guys and get your opinions and thoughts on things. Recently, Concord lasted about a week or two. That was a shooter, a hero shooter, similar ish to Overwatch. It got a lot of good reviews, actually. It's just that the criticism towards the game was that it was nothing special and it's coming in late when everybody is already loving the games that they're already playing. So Concord did not bring anything special, even though the game itself wasn't that bad. But because of that, the criticism and the lack of players online, it got canceled. People had to get full refunds back for buying the game. That was part of the criticism, was that it was a fully priced game while still having microtransactions, season passes, battle passes, whatever you want to call them. That was one of the hugest things. Another game that was live service the day before. That game, I think we waited like almost 10 fucking years for that game.
No, that is.
It was like a survival game. It looked a lot like graphic wise and third person over the shoulder look. It looked a lot like The Division. Because it was very realistic, but it had like monster like zombies and stuff like that. But it was a post-apocalyptic survival game that a lot of people weren't even sure that it was a real game because they were marketing the game so often, but they never showed any footage. And then when they finally showed footage, people thought it was fake footage or pre-rendered footage. Some people thought that they were using so many assets from other games and stuff that they thought that this game was like an asset flip, and like it wasn't a AAA game like they were boasting it to be. And eventually the game came out, and of course people were like, what the fuck is this? Like, the graphics were bad, the game didn't play very well, it crashed a lot, it had bugs and stuff, and the player base just dropped, and then the game got canceled. Another one, let's see, another one, we got Danny, Babylon Falls. Danny got me into this game. Was it
Which one was
Babylon
that?
Falls? Oh yeah. So remember that third person hack and slash game, the tower, that you go up and you slice and dice people and you get a lot. Yeah, see, you
Oh,
couldn't even
yeah.
remember that. So
That was the PlayStation. That was one of the
yeah,
debut games.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
supposed to be
yeah.
one of the
So
few
that was
debut games.
another one. Didn't last very long. They stopped support, I think, after a year or two, I want to say. They stopped with support with that one. Let's see what else. There's a ton more, but I want to try to get some stuff that's more recent, because I could talk about Anthem, but Anthem was quite a while back. Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad's another one. That lasted 4 seasons, so 1 year. So they released 4 characters for it. The last one is going to be Deadshot, and they said that they're done with the game afterwards. There's going to be no longer any more support for it, and what was I going to say? There's still going to be an offline mode. There's still going to be an offline mode, so people can still play the game apparently. But the game's canceled pretty much after that. Same thing with superhero stuff. Marvel's Avengers. Marvel's Avengers didn't last long either. That was maybe a year, I think. That was a canceled game as well. After it released, and Marvel's Avengers was pretty cool. I think it got really repetitive really fast, and it pulled a lot of stuff from Destiny that I didn't really mind, that I didn't really like very much, but it wasn't a bad game. It just wasn't nothing special for me.
So that's what I. So
Hold
that's
on.
what I want.
I think that's pretty much it with that. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on some games as for examples on that kind of stuff. There's games that are being completely canceled before it even gets out there, because I think they're trying to re-strategize this whole live service stuff. So thoughts, Danny?
So the biggest thing that almost all those games that get canceled all have in common with is the end game sucks. You can't. I think at least live service games, they're like, we're gonna get these live service game out there, get them hooked with the storyline, and then we'll wait a year to actually put out some good live service type aspect stuff for them to do. And by then it's too late because there are so many associated or whatever. And if you don't have a good end game already implanted in the base game, the game's gonna fail. Because if you have nothing to grind for, then you're not gonna keep playing the game. You're gonna move on to something else. It's just plain and simple.
That's actually what happened with Anthem.
Yeah, like Anthem's 100% a perfect example. They only had like the weird strike type, like solo dungeon, like small dungeon type places to do, and there was only like 3 or 4 or whatever it was. It was so limited, and then the stuff you got wasn't worthwhile, and you had nothing to grind for. So it was like, okay, I'm getting this gold or best of the best item, but what am I doing with it now? Oh, just to do this more, or do a hard mode version. Like that's not the
they just turn into bullet sponges.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a solution for all the games. That's what a lot of games tend to do. That's what, like, Diablo is another one it's actually not doing so well, or not doing as well as somebody would hope, because the game is just, okay, now you can do hardcore port 2, hardcore 3, hardcore 4. Okay, we're gonna reset you so you have to start over. And it's like, no, we don't want that. We just want, give us a raid or something or some kind of world event or something that we are looking forward to playing. That's why Destiny did so well. They learned that they had a raid in like the first one, because they were always meant to do, but they had one raid in the beginning, and then they kept building on raids. So you got to that point with, I'm trying to level my character so I can do the raid, period. I need to do all these super repetitive strikes so I can do the raid. And none of these games have that. And I think with some games that are now coming out, like PoE is a great example, one of the things they're promoting is all their end game stuff, Path of Exile.
Well, let's not jump onto that right now, because right now you got that honeymoon phase where you're enjoying something.
Yeah, yes, of course. But it's still, it's
a game like that.
It's you could tell what. It just sounds like they're trying something different. Like they literally talked about how they took people off of their main storyline to work on end game content, which is, to me, it's like, yeah, that's how it should be, because I love the Suicide Squad game. It had a great fucking storyline. It had a really good storyline. Don't get me wrong, but once I beat the game, I'm not gonna fucking play the storyline again. You only play the storyline once. Every single one of the Destiny stuff. I mean, yeah, obviously, unless you're a lore nerd, you don't really remember half the fucking storylines. You don't remember when the Red Legion or whatever first came in, and after he killed the Guardians and everything reset, you don't fully remember what happened after that. Like they're not gonna remember. What they're gonna remember is the end game content, the raid or whatever it is at the end.
Steven, what are your thoughts?
I think you hit it right on the money initially when you said like there's just an overabundance of live service games, like it's oversaturating the market. I think that's the biggest problem is like every major publisher or game studio wants to have their have their Fortnite, their Destiny 2 and just make this game that's a cash cow that breaks in a lot of money. But again, the problem with that is like there's so many to choose from. Why should I choose your game when I have so many good ones available to me right now? It's
There's got to be a
nice.
pull. There's got to be something that's different that separates them from the other stuff that's already out there.
Exactly. And unfortunately, experimentation, you either succeed or you fail. So unless you have a really good idea and are able to deliver the right resources that the game needs, you have a good plan in place, then yeah, your game is just gonna fail. And when you mentioned Marvel's Avengers, that's the game that I remember when it first got announced or it first came or after it first came out. Everyone online was like, "This did not need to be a live service game. This could
Mm-hmm.
have been a great single player game." But it didn't. They just designed the game to be repetitive and filled with microtransactions. And yeah, people just moved on to other games and left it in the dust.
You know what's funny too with the Avengers game is that after they announced that they were going to discontinue the game and servers will shut down eventually. I think Danny, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was like the last week or two, or maybe even a month, but I'm gonna say a week or two. They unlocked everything for you, so you could play
Yeah.
with everything. So that means even the shit that you bought means nothing because everyone got to use everything.
They really did
And
something
see, I
similar with
I
Anthem
like
too.
that, but I also see how that's kind of like insulting to the people who did spend money on that game.
Yeah.
But
Zoe, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Sam, I'm partially really glad that you're the one who brought up Fortnite, not me, because my experience with these live service games is very limited to like again Fortnite and just genuinely Destiny. But for instance, like with Destiny, with them promising this whole 10-year run, updates consistently X, Y, and Z, I was always very curious from the beginning how they were going to afford paying these people to make this game so graphically beautiful to begin with. On top of that, to be able to expand the storyline the way we want it to. On top of that, still having the funding to create new maps, X, Y, and Z. Like that's just, I feel like that's one of the big things that I feel like these live games failed on compared to like what Fortnite's been doing, where they have consistent updates every 3 months. They change little parts of the map drastically, or they change the entirety of the map every so often, like after like a year or so. Like there's always something to come back to and look at. And like thing about Destiny is like I really wish they had worked more on giving us those PvP maps. Like instead of only having a set of 12, why not have 36 that go on rotation? True rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
more gambit maps, more like the end game for this game was
gosh,
so
please
repetitive.
give us more PvP maps. It's so boring.
Yeah,
It's so
but
boring just playing the same things over and over again. That's Destiny's biggest issue.
if they had more, that one or two maps that popped up in rotation that just happened to be really shit, it wouldn't be so shit.
Well,
Like,
okay. So I gotta stop you there because that is a good point. Now, this is a problem with live service games in general, is that if a game is really good, or if a game, has a single player mode and you go through the content really fast, you get gamers who are like really hungry for more stuff, and the developers can't catch up. And the developers
mm,
can't catch up, then they start to fuck up the gameplay. They start to they drip feed you content or they water it down they try to take shortcuts pretty much because they're trying to drip feed you stuff to make your attention last throughout the the entire year or whatever lifespan. So it's like I I hear your complaint, but financially and like labor wise, it's damn near impossible. This is why live service games can't be a sustainable business in
Exactly.
the industry
Yeah.
because people will always want more. And if you give them more, then they're gonna want even more. And it's a never ending cycle. And then the budgets start to inflate because they want more money because people are buying more stuff and they want more content and it just gets
Mhm.
out of hand. And that's actually what happened with Bungie because Bungie, the fan base is fucking nuts. Like people
Yeah.
love and hate the game very much so. They'll go through the content so much and then they're just like, "What the fuck, Bungie? I want more stuff. Give me more stuff." And if it's whether it be microtransactions or DLCs or seasons or whatever it may be, people want more and they're buying it. And then Bungie didn't know how to handle their money and the money was just kind of everywhere and they screwed
Yeah.
things up financially. So that shit was a whole mess. And
I
that's
mean,
what's
and
happening with a lot of these other ones. Go ahead.
I would say that's why right now, especially with Disney now owning Epic Games, that Fortnite just has the biggest leg up. Because at this point, they're just selling Disney skins that nobody else can sell. The amount of people out there that bought the Miss Incredible skin, dude, I can't even imagine how much money Fortnite made off of just that skin
But
that
I think
hardly any other game can compare to. Like, what is Helldivers going to do? Give you more capes? Capes? Like, compared to like a Miss Incredible skin? Hell
Yeah.
no.
But
Danny?
I think Fortnite's a little bit of a different beast than a lot of other live service games because yeah, and I might be wrong about this, but it's not really meant for real hardcore gamers, right? It's not the Destiny fan base are more adult, I should say. You could say kind of say, but hardcore gamers who get intense with the PvP aspect and things like that. While Fortnite, it's more a lot of kids playing with their friends and joining up, and it's more of a social
See,
aspect.
you
Like
say
it's
that,
even
it's
but
very
like, dude,
competitive
I
now.
don't know.
It's
I was gonna
extremely
say,
like it's
and
part of
I'm sure they have some aspect of it. I'm sure there is some aspect that is very competitive, and they have that group, like everything does, right? But I think that might not be as big as the community. That's what is funding it, which is why the game is so colorful, which is why this game is so jokey, which is why the skins are like unicorns and all that bullshit, because it's more focused around kids versus a Destiny. If you throw a fucking unicorn or some fuzzy shit like that in a Destiny world, they're gonna be like, what the fuck is this? Right? They
okay,
want the
but you're
badass
telling me
looking.
that they wouldn't eat that shit up.
No,
I mean,
The
they
community would
did
eat
just
that
give out
shit
the
up.
it's
Doki
not.
Doki Magical
Yeah, I was
Girl
just
armor.
gonna say it's
Yeah.
not. I don't think it's me and Danny's kind of thing, but there's a want for that stuff because, for example, the Valentine's Day seasons that come up, like there's a lot of cutesy things that happen there. The Christmas
yeah,
stuff.
and I'm not saying every now and then to do that. Of course, you do that every now and then. It's fun. That's overall fun. It's fun, breaks up the monotony. But Fortnite overall is all cutesy. There's almost nothing that's really, even when they do
I,
like
d-
Call of Duty
I
or
don't
whatever it is, it's still like, well, this is almost jokey type
I
material,
don't
and
think
it's
it's the
just
cute it's cutesy. I think for one it is the art style so that there's no way around it. Everything's going to look kind of cartoony because it's that's the art style for it. But also Fortnite has been able to succeed for this long because it's always staying relevant. They're always adding things that are relevant to pop culture now, whether it be like TikTok stuff or
well, yeah,
social media
which
stuff,
is
or
which again, which is all refers
all the
towards
newest artists. Like we got
yeah,
this fucking video game throws live concerts,
a
virtual
hundred percent.
live
Yeah.
concerts.
And that
Okay,
just
but
kind of that kind of just furthers my point of it turning towards kids because they're trying to be what kids today like. So in 5 years from now, it's gonna be like, what do kids today like 5 years from now? That's what we're doing. And that's kind of what I'm saying. That's why I feel like that is the only anomaly. There isn't another game that's like Fortnite where teenagers 12 to fucking 16-year-olds get on to not just to play but not really play. Like I've seen them. I've seen my nephews. I've seen others like they just get on and they're like, yeah, we're just. I'm like, oh, are you any good in this game? It's like, yeah. And then I watch them play and they're shit, and I'm like, You say you play this for fucking hours and hours and hours a day. You're not that good in comparison to somebody who would I do see watch if you watch a Twitch stream. It's like, fuck, that guy's super legit. He wants to be more professional. But again, but that's what draws the money in. That's what I'm saying. That's what brings the money in. Because they're like, Mom, I need $15 to buy a new skin. And they give it, or I want my lunch money to go here. And then they have a larger base where Destiny can never get that. They really can't. They can only get the adults like us, basically, right? Who are more into the super live stuff, but adults like us are assholes. Not me, obviously, because I don't give a fuck. Well, I am an asshole, but not on that. But adults are more assholes, but they'll complain about everything, right? They'll be like, no, this is not enough. They're the ones complaining. Where a 12-year-old, well, this is fun. Well, I'm gonna go back to Fortnite. But you know,
So, straying away from Fortnite in general, because I don't want to focus too much on just Fortnite, but with the live
Yeah.
service games that we've mentioned before overall, Danny had mentioned one of the things that live service games fail to do is give people enough end game content to continue their interest in the game. Zoe and Steven, is there anything else that you guys feel like that's failed, that the live service games have failed on in order to keep your interest in aside from that? Because I know
feel like
I know there's
more
plenty of
so
stuff
just
that you haven't didn't even want to touch. So even if you want to touch on a game that you haven't played at all, like maybe mention why didn't you want to? Why didn't it pique your interest?
honestly, I think it was just for Destiny personally, and a lot, and it's what I mean. Destiny's what really screwed me with a lot of any other live service games. I'm not gonna lie, especially with the years I've dedicated myself to that game. But I just,
Oh, do you feel like you
I
can't pull yourself away from that and play something else?
well, I've given up on it, and the
Uh-huh.
idea to play another game like that and have it hurt me so,
Oh, yeah.
you don't jump back
So you're
into
burnt
another
out.
toxic
It's
relationship.
burnout.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
feel
that's
the
why I
same
play
way about
Fortnite.
that.
It's like I gave up on the story. I gave up on learning all the content.
Fortnite
It
has
was
a
just
story.
so much.
Yeah, it does actually.
That's interesting.
Steven, what were you saying?
No, I feel the same way about that. It's like I'm still fairly active in Destiny too. I've kind of taken a step back from it, but I still, touch it every now and again. But I don't I've committed so much to it that I don't want to touch another game, mostly because I see how much of a commitment Destiny was. Like having
Hmm.
to go in, do the daily challenges, grind for certain weapons, and do all this stuff in a limited time to try and keep things interesting. And I don't know if other live service games do that, but I know that I've got one live service game that I'm committed to. I don't need to go to another one or have two at the same time. Again, it is very much a case of burnout. It's like I don't want to play any more games like that because I just want to enjoy myself while I play when I play a video game.
So that was an issue with me as well, and not just Destiny, but with a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, it was that same thing of just like I spent so much time on Destiny, I don't want to invest into something else. Just in general, because I'm not afraid to admit, like for the 10 years I've been playing Destiny, I've put in thousands of dollars in microtransactions and
You
DLCs
should
and
be. You
everything,
should be
thousands
ashamed
of
to admit
dollars,
that.
and like the content itself, I was slowly realizing that it was the same stuff. So I kind of weaned myself out. Like I would play every day and then I would play every other day. And then slowly it became once a week to once a month. And now I haven't really played since the DLC came out in September, I think it was.
Yeah.
Or no, was it June?
Kamehameha with the power of friendship.
I can't remember, but
Oh,
it's
the final shape.
Final
Yeah, it
Shape.
came
What was it?
out.
June?
Oh God.
Yeah,
It
because it was my
was.
So
birthday. Yeah.
So it's been 6 months since I touched the game, and it was almost like a drug. Like no joke, it was almost like a drug. I had to wean myself out, and there were times I was just like, man, maybe I should hop on. I got to catch up on some stuff. What if there's this dungeon that comes out, and maybe I gotta play with somebody and have fun with it? I was just like, oh no, I got other games I want to play. and then when these other games that I want to play, like me and Danny, we try Helldivers, and I'm having fun with Helldivers, but I play maybe once a week on that because it's a live service, and I don't want to end up how it was with Destiny. And then we also play Remnant 2. Remnant 2 is a lot of fun, but if I invest too much time in that, because I know it's not a live service game that will last a long time, the developers even said so. They're not keeping this as a live service to continue every single year. So it's like I don't want to invest too much time in that. And Danny even mentioned an MMO, that we talked about when we were online on Tuesday, and I was just like, I don't even want to play an MMO because I'm just so burnt out with live service in general. I don't even want to invest any time in an MMO. I just want to play some online games with some friends and some single player games on my downtime, and that's pretty much it. So it's just like I like live service games right now. I think I'm hoping and praying that everybody so far is starting to talk with their wallets and stop buying into the hype or the bullshit that these studios are giving, and hopefully they reshape some things and we get some quality shit now, especially single player games. Excuse me. I think that.
Yeah, I
pretty
know
much it with that.
I
Go ahead.
remember hearing like when the new Wonder Woman game was announced, a lot of people were afraid because they thought, oh, the Warner Brothers is going to make it another live service game.
Mm-hmm.
But they had to come out and say, no, we're not going to make it a live service game. But yeah, there's genuine fear now that like game companies are just going to go all in and make a dozen live service games, and instead of just making single player games.
Sony said that their 10-year plan was to release like 10 live service games. That's basically one each year. I don't remember the numbers exactly, but that's pretty much what they were announcing was a live service. We're dealing with a live service game almost every year. Like, how is that viable? Like, how many
Yeah.
people do you
It
expect
really
to play
isn't.
all 10 of them? Like, nobody's going to do that.
Well, I would say last thing, I miss the games that you could buy and it would be like the entirety of the game on the disc. Right now, this whole being able to have updates online because everything's on Wi-Fi now, like the fact that we can even update a game has, I feel like, been one of the most crippling parts about the game industry right now. Because whether it's live service or not, whether it's beta or not, the amount of games that I've seen be released that are saying, by the way, we're releasing this game, but there will be updates for it. Like,
Mhm.
I'm like, I won't even buy the game. Like, I'll wait a whole year and then maybe look at the game if somebody else mentions it to me. But
I envy Randy. I wish Randy was on this episode because Randy, he doesn't buy anything on release date. He has the
yeah,
patience of a saint. Like, I still get FOMO, of course, with these video games, but like I want to buy the games right away because not necessarily for spoilers or to say that I played it first or anything, but mostly because I want to be able to keep up with everything that's going on in the industry and gaming wise.
mm,
But Randy is like, no, I'll just wait till it's on sale. And I feel like I would recommend everyone to do that because when you buy a game at full price on release date, you're still not getting a full game.
well,
So
that was me
you
with
to
Hogwarts
wait.
Legacy. Everybody was
Yeah.
complaining about Hogwarts Legacy when that first came out. Here I am, 3 years later, buying it 75% off, being like, "Holy shit, this is an amazing game!"
Hmm.
And then I look at reviews being like, "No, this game was shit on release." Like, what? What?
That was also the case with Cyberpunk.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
me and
I
Danny,
didn't have a
me,
problem. I didn't. Cyberpunk was horrible, but I
yeah,
didn't have a problem with Hogwarts.
Hogwarts.
I bought that on launch, and I had fun, and I almost beat it. And I had
Yeah,
no problem.
yeah, no.
Me and Danny
Cyberpunk was
bashed
rough.
Cyberpunk for
Cyberpunk was rough.
months. Yeah.
I played it, and I had it on the PS5, so I was actually able to play it, and it was still not able to be played. So it was really funny.
I was pissed
That's
because I had my
crazy.
PS4 still. My PS4 was still hanging on for life. And it sounded like two jet engines like trying to run Cyberpunk. And the game still still wasn't playable. So I just didn't bother. I just left it alone.
Yeah.
But so all right, so live service. I'm particularly hoping that they're just dying away and just be left alone. But I know
Yeah.
we're still gonna get some here and there. But hopefully, the game industry in general, hopefully they think twice and they think thoroughly on what they're gonna release and how they're gonna release it. It's not just some watered down crap or a cookie cutter from something else. Those are my thoughts, Danny. What are your final thoughts?
I like live service games only because it's the best way to do multiplayer,
Hmm.
and I like multiplayer games because that's what I do most of the time. I don't like playing games by myself. So I'm always like, what's the next multiplayer game that's going to be fun? Now, if it becomes a multiplayer game that's not going to be live service, they tend to not do anymore at all. I'm okay with it, but I think they need to, again, if they make the ending, they need to work on the ending. They need to work on the end game. If they work on end game content, the end game is fun enough to make you want to play until the next DLC. I see nothing wrong with that, at all. There's nothing wrong with having a new Destiny. Everybody wants a new Destiny. I'm sorry. That's why they call it. Will this be a Destiny killer, or will this be whatever killer? They want it. It will be
I
fun.
thought Anthem was. I was ready.
And everybody's kind of ready because and it's not because they're birth, and I don't think they're birth. I don't think people are 100% birthed off on this concept. I think they're birthed off on their favorite type. So whatever their favorite live service game is, they might be burnt off, and they want something to replace that. And once they could, and if it's done to equal level, then you're not going to hear bitching about it. But people are in the industry, people are greedy because when they see that, they go microtransactions basically. How fast can we get fucking microtransactions into this game and have people start buying shit? And that's all they care about versus, again, gameplay.
Zoe?
Just like Danny said, like I'm burnt out on Destiny, which is why I'm playing the silly fucking game like Fortnite, just not taking it seriously while also taking it seriously. I really hope that the next live game that comes out really considers what they're gonna claim for updates. Not just focus on story, not just focus on silly little skins, but like actually have more endgame content that we can look forward to releasing. And yeah, otherwise, we'll just see what happens.
Steven?
Yeah, I agree with Danny in that I don't think live service games are entirely bad. I think that there are some really good ones out there, and I think that there is a place for them in the gaming world, but it needs to be in a limited capacity. I think Sony coming out and saying like we're gonna release like 10 new live service games or whatever. I think that's too much. You're just going to crash and burn. You don't have the resources for it, and you're just gonna end up alienating everyone who does want to play a new video game. So I think that game companies, they need to stop trying to chase this trend blindly and take a step back and really look at what kind of game do we want to put out, what do we have the resources to make. So hopefully in the future they can we can find a balance in this.
I'm hoping so. I mean, all they're looking at is the money, and they're not looking at the quality. They're not considering the actual players. They're just considering the numbers. So hopefully things change. Which, by the way, for anyone listening, funny enough, we're talking about live service games possibly dying, and we're gonna be playing something this week. We're playing Marvel Rivals right after this, right after a couple of recordings, and Path of Exile too. We're gonna give that a try. So,
but
we'll see how that
again,
goes.
just real quick, but that's to go back to the thing of people are bored of Overwatch. People want an Overwatch killer, and that's
and Marvel
what
Rival
it
scratches that itch. Yeah,
It really is. It's so much like Overwatch. It's not even funny.
It's a clone. It's weird. It's like how they
Yeah.
did do,
but it has a charm to it, and the synergy between
that charm is
the
Shark.
the shark. No, but I really like the synergies, like choosing different characters, and they complement each other, and they buff you, and they change certain aspects.
It's all types
like
of
there's actual planning involved for your teams now.
I feel like, and it's more interesting when it comes again. It just goes back to my point. People are not tired of live service; they're tired of their live service. I think that's my biggest point. So,
sure, I guess. There's more to say, but I'm not gonna go into it. We're gonna end it here. Yeah. So leave your own opinions in the comments as well. As long as you guys are civil about it, I will respond back. And check out social media and stuff. I'm always active, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.